Mama, and UPC, the Congress of the People, Akena way to Mama, and UPC, Congress of the People, everyone and everybody, Jimmy Akena, and UPC.
Thank you so much, Comrade Donald, the personal staff, the Vice President. Mr. President, with your complete press, you most welcome. My name is Museveni.
Should I say Merry Christmas, Happy New Year? Clearly, we have not seen each other in a long time. Happy Easter. You are ahead of me. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Let me say Happy New Year at least. Happy New Year to you. First of all, I would like to congratulate the members of the party that were able to participate in the recently concluded election, especially the ones that are here. Thank you so much for carrying the party flag high. Without wasting any much of our time, my job is very big but also very small. I would like to invite the Vice President to come and address the media. Mr. President, sir.
Good morning to members of the press and congressmen and congress-ladies. Allow me to welcome you to the UPC headquarters, and I think this will be my first address of 2026. I want this session to be interactive, so I am going to speak broadly about what transpired during the election, and then I shall be open to any questions or any area which I might not have tackled effectively. But I want to start on an area which I've heard stories left and right about what transpired and what occurred that Jimmy Akena ended up in a jury tally center while other things were taking place. The circumstances of a jury were such that I, though in later, had actually even gone to bed. What had transpired earlier in the day in Lira City was so disappointing, and I'd actually retired very early. So while in bed, I received a call that something funny is going on in Ajuri. I asked my candidates and my team there, do we have the DR forms? They said they were collecting the forms, but they didn't have all of them. I said, when you get all of them, and if the numbers are okay, let me know, and I shall be there. Eventually, we got all the forms, and we found that we had the advantage. So, while in a situation or in a state where others will be tweeting, I had to now find my way to a jury tally center to protect a win of UPC. I want to make this absolutely clear. I was not looking for anyone, I was not targeting anyone. I was protecting the victory which we had won at the ballot box. What was trying to be done was altering the results at the tally center. And in an election, you imagine an election where I have to be in a tally center to block at the goal line. So everything is finished. We have voted, declaration form is there. But it took the presence of Jimmy Akena in the tally center of a jury, electoral tally center, to stop a wrong declaration. I went through the whole night battling this. The whole next day battling this. What sort of election were we holding where things can be changed in a tally center? It happened on the 15th in a lepton. It continued in Little City was a different issue. I'll go on to that one. But when we had the city elections and the district elections, again, I had to go to the tally center in Little City to stop a wrong declaration. On the 27th, when we actually got the victory in a jury, I had to come back to Little for the division, mayor, and the councillors. Again, they were trying to change it at the tally center. So I asked myself, was this an election, or what can we describe it as? Throughout this period, I came across these assistant RDCs, assistant RCCs. Those were just a menace and a disgrace to anything called democracy. In the case of Lira, they were moving around with thugs, moving with sticks on motorcycles, some of them armed, threatening, calling out our leaders, our candidates, and threatening them. One such leader had gone to the army saying he was under threat, was given armed escort. On the eve of the city election, that same person is torturing or threatening our councillor or councillor-elect for Little City, a widow. This man comes there with an armed escort, which he caught on the auspices that he was under threat, and he's threatening the UPC candidate. Do we call this an election? In Little City, I have never seen the sort of deployment which I saw in this election. I don't know if people saw the footages. You find a single file of maybe 2,000 people, 2 kilometers, walking around the city. But there were things which are happening behind the scenes. I distributed letters for agents on the night before. When you moved around the city, you found these people, of course, the ones on foot on patrol. Then I found 2 company strength units on motorcycles, and plus 2 gangs on motorcycles with sticks and moving around. Some of these were threatening our leaders. Some of the leaders were not in their homes. I distributed, I saw what was on the street, and I knew this did not go well. Election day, the failure of the BVVK machines left us all in confusion. In Little City, our agents were chased from the Electoral Commission stores at 6:45 in the morning. In other words, I lost sight of all the voting material at 6:45 in the morning. They did not appear in many of the polling stations until after 2 p.m. As we investigated where they were and what was happening, there were many things we came across, which I must state clearly, my views at the end of an election is the people who must be the winners. And you see it and their attitude, celebration, satisfaction. The process of election, we debate ideas, we debate issues of where the problems of Uganda are or where the issues are. And hopefully it is well expressed at the end. What took place was, at least in Lira, this result of Lira is the army, decision of the army, not the decision of the voters. And in some of these issues, I must thank God. I thank God for small mercies, because I can say this clearly without any fear of contradiction. After what took place in Little City, there is no way, anywhere under the sun that Museveni can continue talking about Milton Obote and the 1980 elections. It's not possible. You cannot have it on the same plane. You go to that extent of rigging. The army took over the whole place. We don't have any idea where the material was. And this was the excuse for going to the bush. The elections were rigged. Army involvement, honestly. 2026, I think we have cleared that one once and for all. And I hope for all eternity now, we are not going to keep having this story that Obote rigged 1980, Obote rigged 1980. It is nonsense. What we saw in 2026 across board, don't try to bring that one, ever. And this one I must thank the CDF for his rash and careless and attitude on handling matters which could be sensitive. He thought he's finishing Akena. He has given Akena a lifeline, and he has put Museveni in a position where he will have to get out of this one, but not with the name of Obote. Obote's name must be clean now. We're dealing with issue of 2026. Obote was not there. The other issue which I must raise about the CDF, and I think here in Uganda people are a bit scared to touch on this issue. The office you hold is a very high office. And the fact that you are son of a president, you must also watch your words and your actions. The sort of attitude and the sort of statements which have been coming out of the office of the CDF is an embarrassment to all of us as Ugandans. I must put this one clear on record. It's an embarrassment. How can you talk about torturing or killing a person who stood in a presidential election and had a backing of over 2 million Ugandans according to the Electoral Commission? A leader of a party which has representation in the Parliament of Uganda, the leading party in Uganda, and you want to treat it like, or treat the leader like some sort of punk? Honestly, what's happening in Uganda? Let's be honest with ourselves. What are we doing or what are we saying? If nobody is going to do so, I am the one who's going to call out you, Muhoozi. Please, grow up. Grow up. The responsibility which you want to assume as the President of the Republic, you cannot be behaving like this. That the resources belong to a political party. They don't. I come from the train of thought that the resources of Uganda are for all the people of Uganda. The government of the day is the one who administrates on behalf of every citizen. Why do you have that for God? For God? Whose country? No. Individually, you must say, my country. Now, if the resources of your country, my country, are being misused, they're being treated as if they belong to a political party, they're being used to undermine the democracy, what are we supposed to do? Are we supposed to be cheering? Not me. As somebody who comes from a political point of view, that the resources of Uganda are for all the citizens of Uganda, irrespective. It's not for UPC, it's not for NRM, it's for every citizen. The services are for every citizen. And there are people who are treating it like their own personal resources. Doing favors for friends. Let's do things for Uganda. At the end of this election, Uganda should be the winner. Not some people self-aggrandizing or positioning themselves thinking that 2031 is their cup of tea. No. I am not going to be quiet if you think that you're going to loot and turn this country into your own public purse. It will not happen. There are some of us who live for Uganda, who believe in Uganda, and will not be silent if you think you can turn Uganda into your own personal issue. It will not happen. All of us as citizens have a stake in this Uganda. And some of us are ready to speak the truth to power, irrespective, without fear or favor. I went into this election with a clear plan of how we can improve the livelihoods of the citizens of Uganda. That was supposed to be the debate. I ended up being tied, one hand tied behind my back. I'm fighting with one hand tied behind my back. And despite that one, we're still able to show some results. There's something I also want to touch on the question of IPOD. Those of us who worked on IPOD, who believe in IPOD, we are disappointed on what took place. After the 2021 election, President Museveni mentioned that the conduct of his people were unchristian. Another word for unchristian would be morally wrong, because there was funding due to the parties and the IPOD which was not released. So in January 2021, President Museveni says that his people were unchristian in releasing this money. We come to 2025, all throughout, we don't get this money. On the processes leading to this election, we see some gimmicks being played on the floor of Parliament. It was one of the sessions where I became very emotional on the floor of Parliament. That's the time I said that this is my last time in Parliament. I could see people doing machinations to deny the political party's resources. But behind the guise of you cannot speculate. The rules of parliament don't allow you to speculate. But even if I know what you're trying to do to me is going to hurt the parties, I'm not allowed to speculate. That's why I became emotional. What did they go and do? And how did I describe them? I described their behavior as diabolical. Diabolical means of the devil. Fiendish. That was before election. Now we go through another election. What do you describe these people as? Beyond diabolic, is satanic. Satanic. Their behavior is completely satanic. They have no concern about Uganda. It's about what they can grab for themselves. As IPOD, we're trying to build political parties which can outlast us, which can help anchor our democracy. These are the after grabbing, after stealing, and after disorganizing the party. Where are they thinking they're taking this country? And all of you who know the motto for God and my country, where are you when your country is being taken to the dogs? Or the dogs have taken your country? For me, while I have breath, I will speak. While I have opportunity, I'll speak. Even if they bring these scarecrows and try to disorganize the UPC, where were they when we were fighting these battles? Honestly, you people of the media, we've gone through an electoral process. Before election, I had people claiming to be president of UPC, clamoring. Akena is blocking them, Akena. When the election came, they were nowhere to be seen. What happened to them? I remember in the teenage days where, we are out and a fight is breaking out and those are saying, hold me, hold me, hold me. Those are going to be held. For me, when there was problem, I was under house arrest in Lira. They wake up and they find me in a tally center in Aleppo. Surely. Who is who? Who has cared for this party? Who has cared for this party? Who has been there for this party? Every election I've been there. Every attempt I've been there. But yes, they are going to try to prop up some people to pretend to be leaders of UPC. The members of UPC know the leaders of UPC. UPC knows who it is, and as Ugandans, you must know where we're going as a future. And if there's nobody ready to call out some people who are misbehaving or who have failed to grow up, Jimmy Akena is ready to do so. Why? He's not the only son of a president. Compared to most of these others, I was born a son of a president. I was born a son of a president. Son of a Republican president. That does not go away. But I must act responsibly. My words must mean something. And if you want to aim for the highest office of Uganda, come prepared, not with some nonsense. The other day I was seeing on Twitter, I'll repair Kampala in one year. Surely, if it could be done in 1 year, why hasn't Museveni done it? He's been there 40 years. If you have access, if I have access to influence policy, I'll influence it. You have access to the Minister of Kampala, you have access to the President, you have access to, if you have the idea, bring it forward. Instead of hiding behind people, tweeting, insulting people, grow up, young man, grow up. Hold any meetings. So there are a lot of things which got stuck in the process. Now you asked about the funding. The funding under the law is for political parties representation in parliament. But during elections, the funding is done equally. So for the 2021 elections, the funding for political parties across the board was 10 billion. That 10 billion was supposed to be shared equally with the political parties representation in parliament at the time. Those parties were 5. FDC and German. PPP are not yet come. No one not yet come. 2021. No came in 2021. So the election leading to 2021 was 10 billion to 5 parties. That was the money to be shared. When we had our processes which led to the increased funding, which was negotiated first under the UPC chairmanship, then followed by the DP, was how to strengthen parties. Now there's supposed to be extra funding to political parties for meetings, statutory meetings, for party offices, which were brought in by President Museveni, and different aspects. That increased the funding to political parties to 35 billion for a year. But how the funding was supposed to be released has never been they tried to effect it, they effected it with malice. That's when they now try to lock out loop from the funding. And they ended up locking up all political parties. For the 2026 election, the funding which was agreed in Kororo across political parties was supposed to be 27 billion, which meant that all political parties, UPC was entitled to 4.5 billion. That one, I did not expect it, and because the circumstances and the clarity behind it was not there. But the 2 billion, which had been cleared before, which had been discussed, which the President said it was morally wrong of NRM for not releasing that money. The fact that we go through 2026 election without that money again being released, I raised in Parliament, it was diabolical. Now I'm saying it is satanic. It's satanic because when they're doing this one, you find them giggling, laughing as if they did not, that they kids in the park joking as they don't know that they're messing things up. They want to get a situation maybe when the country is now on tender hooks and whatever, that's when they'll be happy. Because somebody thinks he has the force to beat and bully people into submission. You need to have sense. You cannot beat sense into somebody. If somebody doesn't have sense, it will not be there. An incurable Democrat. However bad the process, it is better than no process. However flawed, when you have a chance at least to get your ideas across, or people are able to get out and exercise for me. You see, you may wish to prop up somebody who has no support. I mentioned it, they're likely to be in the near future. You're likely to get somebody being propped up, claiming leadership of UPC or whatever, and you get some people supporting him. But does this person or these people who went to see the president can meet anybody. Anybody who the president invites, the president is free to meet. But if you're meeting somebody who has no support on the ground, who has no ability to move the ground, who has no ability to influence issues, what are you meeting for? This is for showing off only. Such a person cannot effect anything amongst the voters, amongst the populace. So it's better you deal with people who have substance on the ground. And that is why we go for elections. And that is why I already put myself for this election. I knew I was not likely to be in the top 2. But in racing, where I come from, the background of racing, a podium is very important. Somebody will fight for that podium. You're not winning, but you're number 3. You stand there proudly and you take your accolades. Because what we train our kids in the racing world is you must finish the race. It doesn't matter if you've had a setback. If something has gone wrong, you have a mechanical failure, a breakdown, somebody knocks you down, get up and finish the race. So I, as Akena, I had to do the same. I had to go through and finish the race on behalf of others, but I should have been on the ballot. And had I been on the ballot, you will not ignore me. But even if you try to ignore me, I'm telling you, I'm not going quietly. We wait and see. If I can be ignored, well and good. If not, I will still be here.
Would you accept to meet the president just in case he invited you to have a dialogue?
I have never refused to meet anybody. I have met people. I've met the president. When I met Bobby in my home, people went wild. But I met Bobby. I went to Magere, I met Bobby. I am free to meet anybody. And what people should understand for me, Uganda is ultimate. More than UPC, Uganda must win. If there's a win-win issue of meeting the president, I'll be the first there. Without any doubt, without any qualm, mine Uganda must win.
Will you take on any responsible ministry just in case you are appointed?
My friend, you're going far ahead of yourself. Very, very far. Yes, sir. No, I'm expecting my leaders to be able to speak for the people, speak on behalf of the people. UPC, if you reduce our policy issues, can we have an improved standard of living for the citizens of Uganda? Whether it's in education, we want better education. Whether it's health, we want better health. Agriculture, we want better production. Whether it's animal industry, you want something better. Always it is how to be improved. And I expect my leaders to be able to be the voice, the conscience of the nation on the floor of parliament. Where people are doing this nonsense, people are there trying to grab issues, people are there about enriching themselves. I want my members to speak on behalf of the people who cannot speak on the floor of parliament. Those who need the support of government. Those who without government are left to the winds. Those are the people we speak for. Those are the people, the wretched of the earth as they describe. Those who are vulnerable. Those I want my leaders to speak for. And on the policy platform, we have the strongest platform. I challenge any political player, any political party, any player. Compare the UPC manifesto with any other manifesto. Ours is above board because ours is practical, realistic, and has a net effect on the lives of people. So that's what I expect from my leaders. Thank you.